As the sport of boxing evolved throughout the 19th and 20th centuries, the 10-point must system was eventually introduced by the World Boxing Council in 1968 to standardize how fights are scored. Mixed martial arts shares a similar history, as it was initially coined no-holds-barred fighting, had no weight classes, rounds, or judges, with fighters needing to knock out, submit, or force a corner stoppage to win. Thanks to the Council of the Mixed Martial Arts Commission, UFC 21 on July 16, 1999, marked the UFC's first event that adopted rounds and the 10-point must system. The 10-point must system consists of a panel of 3 judges whom evaluate each round's action at the end of each round. As per the unified rules of mixed martial arts, this system requires that 10 points must be awarded to the winner of the round, and 9 points or less must be awarded to the loser, except for an even round, which would be scored 10-10. Although the rules permit and explain how even 10-10 rounds may occur, they are extremely rare and not to be used lightly. In unified rules, the most heavily weighted criteria is effective striking and grappling. Only if both fighters are dead even in effective striking and grappling would other scoring criteria even be considered. If the judge determined that both fighters were completely even in effective striking and effective grappling, they would then have to weigh whether one fighter had an advantage in effective aggression. And if that was felt to be even, then they would have to consider whether a fighter had an advantage in cage or ring control. Only if all of these categories were found to be even would a round qualify as a 10-10, and few such rounds exist. For example, Rose Namajunas versus Carla Esparza II and Derek Lewis versus Francis Ngannou had no 10-10 rounds in either fight. Verbatim, as per the unified rules, a 10-10 round in MMA should be extremely rare and is not a score to be used as an excuse by a judge that cannot assess the differences in the round. It goes on to further explain that a 10-10 round in MMA is a necessity to have for the judge's possible score, mainly due to scoring incomplete rounds, which we will cover later in this video. The 10-point must system states that the loser of a round receives 9 points or less, which suggests that it's possible to score a 10-1 round or a 10-6 round, but this is not so. Were a round anywhere near a 10-6, the ref would stop the fight. I'll elaborate on that later. For mixed martial arts, we could effectively consider it a 3-point must system, but that's besides the point. Rounds are scored 10-9 when a fighter wins a round by a close margin. In this context, close could be razor thin and almost go either way. It could be a competitive back and forth, but leans a little more heavily in one direction, or it could be not that competitive at all with a clear winner, but not a lot of impact or significant action. In these instances, the winner of that round would be awarded 10 points, with the loser of that round receiving 9 points. 10-8 rounds occur when one fighter wins a round by a large margin. To help define these margins, additional criteria referred to as the 3 Ds, damage, domination, and duration, are then evaluated. A 10-8 score must occur when one fighter significantly diminishes the abilities of their opponent in all categories of damage, domination, and duration of domination. 10-8 rounds must also be considered if a fighter has a significant advantage in 2 or even 1 of these categories. Great examples of 10-8 rounds are round 2 of Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Conor McGregor, and round 1 of Khamzat Chimaev versus Kamaru Usman, both of which were unanimously agreed by all ringside judges to be 10-8 rounds. Other examples are round 2 of Rory MacDonald versus BJ Penn, and round 1 of Frankie Edgar versus Gray Maynard in their second fight. The unified rules of mixed martial arts already does an exceptional job of explaining 10-7 rounds, so I will essentially repeat that verbatim. A 10-7 round occurs when one fighter completely overwhelms their opponent in effective striking and or grappling, and stoppage is warranted. A 10-7 round in MMA is a score that judges will rarely give. It takes overwhelming dominance of a round, but also significant impact that at times caused the judge to consider that the fight should be stopped. Judges should look for multiple impactful blows or knockdowns that diminish the fighter and/or grappling maneuvers that place the fighter in dominant positions with impact being inflicted that visibly diminishes the fighter's ability to compete. To emphasize how rare this score is, it has only occurred a handful of times and not with the unanimous consensus of the other two judges. Some examples are round 4 of Ilya Topuria versus Josh Emmett and round 1 of Khamzat Chimaev versus John Phillips. Now that we've reviewed how judges score rounds at the end of each round, I'll explain how those rounds determine the victor and the methods of victory if the fight goes the distance and requires a judge's decision. Unanimous decisions occur when all 3 judges agree on the winner of the fight. It does not mean that they have the same scorecard or agree on the same rounds. It means that their scorecards result in the same winner. Split decisions occur when one judge concludes that fighter A won, while the other 2 judges conclude that fighter B was the winner. Majority decisions occur when one judge's scorecard concludes a tie, while the other 2 judges' scorecards conclude the same winner. Technical decisions occur when a fighter incurs an accidental foul that renders them unable to continue after 2 full rounds in a 3-round fight, or after 3 rounds in a 5-round fight. Any action up to the moment before the foul would be scored to conclude that round, and all the scorecards would be tallied to determine the outcome of the technical decision, which could be any of the previous decisional outcomes: a technical unanimous, technical split, or technical majority decision. Not all contests end in victories. Fights can also end in draws if the tallied scorecards result in a tie. A unanimous draw occurs when all 3 judges' scorecards conclude that the contest ended in a draw. Split draws occur when one judge concludes that the fight was a tie, while the other 2 judges conclude that there was a winner, but they're opposite fighters. Majority draws occur when one judge concludes that the fight had a winner, while the other 2 judges conclude that the fight was a tie. Technical draws follow the same rules of technical decisions on when they occur and similarly result in a technical unanimous, split, or technical majority draw. It's important to note that should a referee deduct any points from an athlete during any rounds, those points would be deducted in the rounds the infractions occurred and deductions were declared. For example, in the 3rd round, fighter A purposely headbutts fighter B. The referee concludes that this was an intentional foul and deducts 1 point from fighter A in the 3rd round. Despite the foul, fighter A decisively wins the round. Had the foul not occurred, they would be awarded the round 10-9. Because of the 1-point deduction, the judge would reflect the point deduction decided by the referee and award a 9-9 round. Same example, but different outcome. Fighter A headbutts fighter B, incurs the point deduction, but fighter B wins the round decisively. Fighter B would be awarded 10-9 for their action in that round, but because of fighter A's point deduction, they would be awarded a 10-8 round. Hey, thanks for stopping by. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons and enjoy the rest of your day. Until next time.